Alright, hello everyone. I just want to preface this video first with you do not need to pull anything for this event. All you need to do, right, if you're a new player, is go to this page here, click on edit team, get your support, pick one of these bags here, and then you are pretty much good to go. So this is pretty much how new players are able to get their bonuses. And then Heathcliff Ego is free. You just need to grind 2,000 bags in order to get the ego, and then you get another 20% bonus up here. That will be later on when you have grinded using this bonus until the 2,000 mark. Then you get 60%, then you just finish the grind. So that is all you will need to do if you're F2P and you don't want to pull these egos, okay? Right. So, in terms of whether these egos are good, I actually quite like some of these egos. So, for Heathcliff, right, it's actually a really good option for your 7 association Heathcliff, and a okay option for the rest of them, I would say. The reason why, right, is because this is the gluttony focused ego. It really likes having highest gluttony resonance, and since you'll be generating a crap ton of gluttony with the 7 association team, this ego here will have infinite amounts of gluttony to consume for spamming. And then the envy part here, you can get it from Heathcliff himself, because his skill 2 in the 7 association team, it gives you envy, so you'll be able to charge up your own ego. So honestly, this ego is very, very spammable, and randomly applying these statuses here, you don't really care that you accidentally apply tremor. You can just apply like rupture, sinking, bleed, and burn, and these statuses here will basically do like 1 extra damage to the target when you hit them. For example, rupture and sinking, just hit them, you do SP damage. For rupture, you do 1 extra damage. For bleed, the enemy takes 1 damage, and then for burn, the enemy takes 1 damage, for example. And this can repeat up to 7 times, so it's not even going to be like 1. It's sometimes like 3 extra damage, 4 extra damage, whatever. It's a pretty good ego in terms of Zane egos, honestly, if you are running the gluttony team, because you will generate so much resource for yourself that you'll be able to spam this ego quite a bit. The randomly kill part here gives you some buffs. It's more of a bonus rather than an actual like good thing. I would say like, yeah, whatever. If you get poise count, whatever. It's only 2 poise count, and then you don't really generate poise with the team except for maybe what's her face? Faust. 7 Faust does generate poise. Charge count, I can't really think of any 7 association that uses charge count, so like whatever. Then haste, offense, defense are all good stuff here, so yeah, you can pretty much just use those. So the on kill is more of a bonus rather than something you actually aim for. Corrosion, you don't really look at it because it's a negative coin. You get 1 more AoE sure, and then before you attack, you also nuke the target for 10 SP. And then after that, you do what all the same status applications like before. I think if you want to use this as a pure SP nuke, right, you actually can, which I think is actually quite good. Because you can do a triple S, you basically don't care about damage. When you corrode this ego, what you're doing is that you're going to target someone with high SP, you're going to nuke them for 10 SP, and you do a triple AoE of 15 damage. And since you generate a crap ton of gluttony anyway, you pretty much don't feel the loss. And it's a Zane ego. Zane egos, when you corrode them, when you overclock them, they're not like super expensive compared to like other egos with multiple elements. That shit becomes really, really expensive. So yeah, for Zane ego, I think this is actually not a bad option for the corroded part. For the passive here, this part here basically makes this so that only 2 Heathcliffs can make really good use of it. So this is more of an option for those characters. Queequeg as well as Suncliff. So those 2, right, can generate negative effects on themselves. Suncliff can generate onto himself sinking, and then for Queequeg, he can get hit by an enemy because he is technically a tank. So he can get hit by statuses such as burn, bleed, tremor, rupture, sinking, or whatever in order to get one of these status effects onto himself beforehand. So that's how these 2 characters can actually get the statuses onto themselves, and if the main target or the attacker has a positive effect. So I read this wrongly before. I thought it was just if the main target has the positive effect, but actually the attacker can also have the positive effect according to the wording here. It could be a wording issue or whatever, but basically from what I understand of the English here, if the main target has it, so if the enemy has protection, defense level up, whatever buffs, you can pretty much get the bonus. And then if the attacker, which is you, have a positive effect, so if you have like protection, defense level up, which Queequeg can generate, and Suncliff can generate protection onto himself as well, so yeah, you can get some positive effects on them, and that will help you to trigger the rest of these skills down here, which is inflict more of your status. For Suncliff, he can inflict more of his sinking as well as a little bit of rupture, if I remember correctly. And then for what's the face? For 7 association, you're probably not going to get this. For Queequeg though, you can inflict more bleed, which is very good. Then your gain +1 more poise and charge count here. Charge count not really interesting, but the poise one is good for quick whack. And for Suncliff, you don't really give a shit about any of these parts here. So I think it's quite versatile. Some parts here you can use, some parts here you can't really use for some of the Heathcliffs. For 7 associations, you would really love to get the Rupture, honestly, but I don't think he can generate the status effect or negative effect on himself really easily, unless he purposely goes out of his way to do it. So that's a bit of a pain. But for Quick Quake and Suncliff, they generate it naturally, so that part is a lot more easier for them, you know, to get the passive bonus going. Unfortunately, I think 7 Association is probably the best one to use if you want to just spam this ego. But at the same time, if you don't care about this part here, then you can just treat this as a one-use ego. You just use this one time, and then now your Quick Quake and your Suncliff will be able to get this passive over here to apply more statuses onto the enemies. I would say that this ego is okay. It's not like super amazing. It's just really good in the Gluttony gang, because Gluttony gang can spam this ego like crazy. While for the rest of the gang, it's more of a use once and then after that you just keep going on with your typical game plan. Oh, I remember someone said that Rabbit Heathcliff, right, will also benefit because of the charge count gain. But Rabbit Heathcliff has never cared about charge count. Rabbit Heathcliff has only cared about speed, so the argument is a bit flawed because you only care about getting 6 speed with Rabbit Heathcliff. You don't care about charge count. The charge count is a bonus. If you can get 5 charge count, then sure, whatever. But honestly, for Rabbit, 6 speed is all he cares about, because Quick Suppression is a broken-ass skill, and all you need is 6 speed to activate Quick Suppression being broken. So yeah, this charge count part here not really that good for Rabbit, even though it technically is good for Rabbit. Yeah, I know. Alright, so I overall like this eagle quite a bit. The problem is that thread spinning it is going to cost you quite a bit of shards, so if you're a new player, don't thread spin. You can just leave it at thread spin 1 and you will get your 20% bonus. You can just use Body Sack for all of the other Heathcliffs, because Body Sack is always good no matter which Heathcliff it is. It is always good, don't worry about it. Yep. So that's my opinion of Heathcliff. I underestimated it at first, but after looking at it again, I think it's actually quite a solid ego that I might use in the future. Right. And then for Outis, let's change the music as well. So for Outis, it is also not a bad ego. It's an SP regen ego at heart, as well as some tremor stuff going on. So we got 31 in a triple AoE, we got Trigger Tremor Burst, which is the Mola Outis special. And then after attack, you also apply 1 damage up for the affinity with highest resonance count to 4 allies with the least SP, and you heal 20 SP for 4 allies with the least SP at the cost of 8 ego resources. So you do a sizable amount of damage, you trigger burst for your Mola Outis, you apply sloth damage up for your resonance sloth, and then you heal 20 SP for 4 allies with the least SP. So that is the way I see it. I think it cannot fit into Rupture because the 7th Association Outis prefers Ebony Stem. Ebony Stem is basically a Rupture ego. It has been from the start, it's just that Rupture wasn't really fully developed until like W, Yi-Sang and the new ego gifts came out. So that's pretty much why Ebony Stem is still better for the Gluttony team. And this ego here anyway doesn't consume Gluttony at all. So if you want to run 7 Association, you just generate a bunch of resources that you will not be able to use with this ego. This ego prefers your Pride, Envy and all of this other stuff here. Yep. So I think this part here is the main use of the ego. The corroded form doesn't really have much of a use except for the fragility here. This unit loses 10% HP, loses 10 SP, trigger tremor burst, blah blah blah. I think the fragility and the damage up is all that people really care about here. But 2 fragility for a corroded form of this is very expensive. It's really very expensive. So unless you're going to spam a bunch of AoEs after this, then you better make sure, right, that the affinity is correct. So you would need to use like what, Ebony Stem. Sorry, so not Ebony Stem. You have to use like what, Sun Shower Yi-Sang after this, and then your Sun Shower Yi-Sang needs to trigger a Sloth affinity because this ego here is ref, right? So you need the others to trigger the Sloth affinity. So you'll be able to get Sloth fragility, and then this ego needs to go first because the fragility is not next turn, it is this turn. So yeah, you need to be quite specific with the setup in order to try to set up for maybe like a 1 turn wipe of all of the mobs in front of you with a Holiday Corroded followed by Sun Shower Yi-Sang, for example, for the Sloth team. Yep. So a bit specific, but at the same time, it's really expensive, so most likely this will not be used for the average player. Then for the passive is wonky because I think only Shoutis can do it. When applying positive effects to other allies with skill effects or coin effects, you select one of the following effects here. You inflict 1 potency to 1 random enemy 5 times, applied to 5 times per enemy, and for Amnos, applied to a random part. Right. So, because Outis, which is G Corp Outis if you don't know, G Corp Outis is the only one that actually applies straight up buffs to your allies, defense level up, attack level up, blah blah blah. Those are the only things that they can actually apply. And then after that, then you will be able to get this part here to trigger. So most of the other Otises, they do not buff their allies directly. They always apply a debuff to the enemy so that other allies can benefit from those. So because it's like that, this passive here doesn't really trigger that much if you use any other Outis. Mullah Outis doesn't even really do much, unless you consider applying Tremor Count to herself, a bonus. But this wording here is other allies, so it doesn't really work for this. Yep, so this part here is more of a, like, if it happens, it happens, in my opinion. The fact is that this part here is really, really good. Because this 20 SP healing to the 4 allies with the least SP, it also fully refunds your SP. Because you just clash one enemy with this ego, and then you are spending 25. After you attack, you have lost 25 SP, you gain a little bit back from the clash, but you're probably one of the lowest SP in the team, so you just heal 20 back to yourself, which gives you probably either like a net 0 or net positive SP gain. Yep, so that is really, really good for this ego, because then you'll be able to heal up quite a lot of your allies' SP with it, and you'll be able to get quite a lot of good benefits out of this as well. Yep. So I would say this ego is not bad. Of course, you can also just save up 2 other resources for other egos in order to pop their SP heals. For example, your WoW Ishmael, or maybe you just pop your Sun Shower Yi-Sang 1 time and then you have passive SP generation, or you just go and find some ego gifts that give you ego resources so that you can use Fluid Sac or something along those lines. Yeah. There's a lot of other ways to be healing your SP, so this is not particularly amazing, but at the same time, right, the fact that it doesn't take any Gloom resources is also really, really good, because if you're not trying to run your Gloom team for Fluid Sac generation, then you can just go for Holiday to give yourself some SP healing instead. Yep. So I think that the egos are okay. I did Spark for my Outis already, because I wanted to just use my own unit to go and grind. But if you are a new player or even an old player who doesn't care too much about all this stuff here, then you can feel free to just go ahead and ignore this banner and just borrow Outis. Do take note that this Outis is actually Season 3 only. So she will appear in Season 3 Dispensary. So if you are not able to get her by the end of Season 3, then you have to wait until Season 5 to get her. And by then, I don't think she will be used. Or, I mean, I don't know. Okay, that one I don't know. But Season 3 is where you will get her. So she will appear here at the bottom. And then pretty much you can get her by the end of the season. But preferably just get her now if you are going to get her anyway, right? Because then you'll be able to farm with the 40% bonus bag drop. So yeah. I would say that the egos so far look really fun. Look like, I can't believe Heathcliff actually looks good. Like, that coinage is really good. And then the fact I run with the 7 Association, I can actually like use it a lot. Like, spam that shit. So yeah, I actually really like the design of the ego. I'm glad that it's not complete dog shit. I think Ryoshu's Soda ego actually from the previous event was also used quite a bit in Refraction Railway. So maybe we'll see this one in like a 7 Association team for Refraction Railway 3 or something like that. Who really knows? Yeah, so I think that will be it. If I miss anything, feel free to let me know. But I think that both of the egos are quite fun. I would not recommend a new player to get them, because new players won't really have a lot of the other IDs and the other very, very strong egos that are already available for them. So maybe they can put this egos on the back burner. All you need to do is just go and borrow the ego, and then after that you can just continue your grinding for the event. Yep, so that will be it for this video, I think. So far I'm quite happy with this event. This event is really, really fun. And also the grinding is not too bad. The boss only has like 600 HP, which is already quite doable. Yep. Alright, so that will be it for this video. Thank you all for watching, and goodbye.